So the Uncharted movie, back in the news. Shawn Levy, who is the director of the Night at the Museum movies, Real Steel, and directed some of Stranger Things, is the latest director reportedly attached to this movie. It's over at Sony. One, do you think this movie is actually going to happen? And what do you think about Shawn Levy directing it? Ahmad, let's start with you.
I think this movie only happens if Assassin's Creed does well.
Yeah.
If Assassin's Creed doesn't do well, it's going to be crickets over there. If it does, if it does well, then you'll see oh we've got a screenwriter and we've got a cast and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, it's just they're going to take the sign off the door.
Well, I should say Joe Carnahan is scripting it,
Okay.
and he is. He's directed a bunch of things like Narc and The Gray and
The
all
Blacklist, he worked on
yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, he's
Probably the right guy for
fun
the job.
Yeah, Goldman, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm also very skeptical because it's just one of those movies like the new Crow movie where it just like once a year it burbles up in the news and something's happening with it and then it never actually comes to fruition. I do think Assassin's Creed there'll be all eyes on again because once again it's probably the biggest deal live action video game movie in quite a while as far as they're really trying to make it an event.
Yeah.
But if it falls flat, I could see them being like, oh, maybe we don't.
Yeah, but this is Sony IP, so why wouldn't they want to explore it? I mean, do they go? And I think we've mentioned this in past ones. Sony Screen Gems, they do the Resident Evil movies. So do you
Underworld
and Underworld, but like particularly for their one video game franchise, they do it on a specific budget.
Yes.
And they make money, and they're not like big stars. So maybe does Uncharted go that route? If Assassin's Creed doesn't turn a profit, and it's big question mark, we'll see. Do you scale it down then? Do you do Uncharted movies that way and basically turn them into Resident Evil, but without instead of horror, you throw in just more action stuff?
Right.
It seems like they've always framed this as a big tier tentpole film.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them going small with it.
Well, I just feel like too, we've had so many kind of Raiders wannabe movies, like the National Treasure movies. Like, how does this one, besides having the name Uncharted on there, how does this? What differentiates this?
It's been a while since we've had a National Treasure movie.
Yeah.
And this is more of an action. Those are more mysteries, thriller, like globe-trotting, like almost more like
Da Vinci Code.
This is in between. Later. This is in between that and like a Tomb Raider, where there's an action and there's kind of a search element.
It's just weird because it's like because there's been so many difficulties having truly successful video game movies. Resident Evil is the only one to turn into a long-running franchise.
It's the highest-grossing video game movie franchise.
Very few would even, I think Mortal Kombat, Paul Thomas Anderson has the only one who gets sequels, I guess. And
Paul W.S. Anderson.
That's right.
And the director of Boogie Nights.
I did a classic script, and then I guess Tomb Raider, there was two of those. But could they make it a lower-budget thing? And they could. I think they want it to be a huge event movie, but I do. That's why it goes back to I think how Assassin's Creed does, kind of make them look okay. Even though there's a lot of differences, but there's enough similarities. I think that they would see the success of that.
And I just want to throw this out there because I know the internet will have an opinion on what I'm just throwing out there. But he did work. Shawn Levy did work with Hugh Jackman in Real Steel, and Hugh Jackman now hanging up the claws as Wolverine. Could he be Nathan Drake? Would he be okay for it? A new franchise? What do you think? Too old for it? What do you think?
No, anything's possible.
Yeah.
I think his name would be a name that would come up for sure. And with him ending Wolverine, and Van Helsing didn't happen. He'll have his people being like, you need a new franchise. That would be it's a consideration. I think it's something that would certainly come up.
He's got a sense of humor. He could be good.
Oh,
for
sure, yeah.
All right, let us hear your thoughts about the Uncharted movie and everything we just talked about.